Welcome, welcome, welcome in to Reading Between the Wines. It's Friday. We made it. I'm just saying, it's Friday. We made it. I don't know if you're feeling like I'm feeling, but right now is the time to have a nice glass of wine, sit down, listen to some good conversation, and you're going to get that tonight. This is going to be an awesome, awesome, awesome show. Author Retta Flagg coming in the building tonight on Reading Between the Wines. I'm just going to say this is going to go down in history as such an amazing show, an amazing event tonight. We have author Retta Flagg. Now, I don't know if you all remember, but you can go back and watch some of the replays. She was on last year, and I was thinking of something, and I was also reading up about a specific topic prior to her coming on the show. And it was just a direction that I was going in. And when she spoke about her book, it clicked, and everything that I was been reading and doing research on for the past, couple days, she starts to speak. So it was just, I don't know, you had to like see my face and see the reaction once she started speaking about the title of her book. And in any case, it was just amazing. So I'm happy to have her come back, and I'm just so excited because I have a great inclination as far as the direction that we're going to be going down tonight. So let's get right on into it. Song of the day, The Champion. Carrie Underwood featuring Ludacris. So I'm not sure if y'all remember this song or not. It sort of came through as a surprise to me. I was actually sleeping one day. I had the radio on, and this song popped up. And it actually woke me up out of my sleep because it was a country song, but it was sort of like popish. And then we had Ludacris rapping over top of it. Released in 2018 off of the Cry Pretty album. Miss Carrie Underwood featuring Ludacris, The Champion. So tonight we're going to speak about Champion, and that's basically it. So this is track 13 off of Disc 3 to Evolution, the full inspirational series. If you want to get all 17 tracks, you can head on over to X, which is formerly known as Twitter, and you can get all 17 tracks. But tonight, we're going to focus on Champion. And when I speak about Champion, I want to speak about as far as, are you the champion over the things that are going on in your world? Are you the champion over your life? Are you the champion over your circumstances? And I'm just going to give you a short, brief overview as far as what it means to be a champion to me, what it means for me to be a champion over my life, what it means for me to be a champion over my circumstances. And in order for me to get into the mindset of being a champion, I had to learn how to become the master of my own mind. And when I spoke about becoming the master of my own mind last year, that was just me scratching the surface. I had no idea and I didn't understand that once you take on a responsibility of becoming the master of your own mind, meaning that you have your own identity, nobody can tell you what to do. You're no longer a people pleaser. You're no longer chasing after folks. You're no longer going along and getting along just to get along. It's a process, it's a journey. And to be honest with you, it's never ending. And some days we fall short, but we have to be a champion and we have to get up and we have to keep on pushing. So that means that there are no days off. We don't take any days off when it comes to speaking positive affirmations over our world and doing the right thing. And honestly, finally doing things that work for you, finally doing things that work for me, and no longer concerned with any outside sources or any attachments. That's what it means to, it's in my book as far as being a champion. So what are you being a champion over when it comes to your world? Whether it's any type of addiction, whether it's any type of feelings as far as what people think about you. Um, it could be a many of different things. So when it comes to me, as far as being the champion of my world, that's basically it. I am the champion of my world. I am focusing on my world. I am focusing on my dreams. I am focusing on things that make me happy. And I need to do that first before I can go ahead and try to help anybody else, encourage anybody else, filter things down to anybody else. And like I said, there's no days off. When it comes to being a champion, you can't just all of a sudden one day I'm going to speak some positive things and then the next day, I'm going to be disrespectful to self. And then, once I see somebody else doing it, then I'm just going to follow behind and start to, head in that direction again. And then, half the time I'm going to be positive and then half the time I'm going to be negative, speaking out of one side of my face and then turning around and doing something differently. Everything has to match up and line appropriately. Your actions have to match up. Your speech have to match up. You have to have the right mindset. And like I said, just scratching the surface once you decide to become the master of your own mind. That's just scratching the surface. Because once you decide to make this change in your life, once you decide to say, I want to be a champion, I want to be a ruler over the things that I can control, controlling the things that I can control, trust and believe that's when it's like game on. It's like something in the universe says, okay, this person has decided to wake up a little bit. So since this person has decided to wake up, now the challenge begins. So there's going to be all the types of things that you said you want no more. You'll be tested. It'll come back to see if you've really learned your lesson. Thank you so much to everybody out there who are tuning in and joining in. The best thing that you can do to help support the 401 podcast, Reading Between the Wines, is please like, comment, share. Thank you so much to everyone out there. Like I said, we have author Retta Flagg coming in tonight. And before I get into this real deep, of course, I want to go ahead and give a very special thank you to my executive producer, my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, for allowing me to come out here and give you all this show, allowing me to come out and give you this message tonight. So thank you so much for that. Thank you so much to Lavella. I saw you out there last night on Facebook. Thank you so much. SOS was out there. My cousin Kim has been watching and supporting the Dis 3 series. So thank you so much to everyone out there who decides to come in and check out and hang out with us tonight. Champion. Are you the champion over the things in your world? That's basically it. I'm going to leave it at that. We're going to go ahead and get into this wine here tonight. OXTE, the Silence. I like this bottle. And the reason why I like this bottle is because it's called the Silence. And back in 2020, my life changed completely once I decided to focus on the silence. Because I was a person who had to have the last say. I was a person who had to run off at the mouth so much, and I just always wanted to get back. What's going on, Carol? How are you? I was that type of person that once you did something to me, I had to turn around and show you who I was. And although I thought that I was getting the best of the person who I was giving the business to, it didn't work that way. I was actually lowering my standards, lowering myself, and lowering my power and depleting away from self. So I didn't start to get my power back. That is a great song by Mary J. Blige, and I should have learned once I heard the song. And the song "Power Back" was about basically we're not going to say anything. We know that you are going to be foolish. We know that you're going to say the things that you say that's going to trigger things and to start an argument. We know you're going to go out and be reckless. But the fact that I don't say anything, I actually gain my power back. And that is exactly what happened once I learned how to get in silence. So I'm really feeling this book. I'm really feeling this bottle. OXTE, the silence. And the bottle says if you cannot improve the silence, and I'm not sure why it says that, if you cannot improve the silence, but we need to focus on improving the silence. It says live with less noise. And I couldn't think straight because there was so much noise. And a lot of times we can't think straight. We can't be the champion. We can't be the master of our own minds. We can't rule our worlds when we have too much noise going on. We have too many attachments going on. So I had to slowly but surely start cutting some things off. I had to cut people off. They had to cut me off. And instead of me getting upset about a certain thing, I was okay with it after a while. And only way that I became okay with it is when I learned how to get in silence and get with self. Something about getting in silence and getting with self and doing exactly what the good book says, listening more. We got two ears for a reason and we got one mouth. So that gives you a great inclination right there that we need to start listening. And I'm just speaking about self. You need to start listening a hell of a lot more and stop doing all of this. And once I started doing that and shifting things, things started to reveal to me. People started to reveal and tell me who they really were just by me sitting there listening. So, OXTE to silence. This bottle, I don't know why I'm calling this a book. I haven't even had a sip of anything. Actually, yeah, had a sip of anything. But I'm trying to figure out why I keep calling this a book. Maybe it's going to read a great story tonight once I start sipping it. OXTE the silence. If you cannot improve the silence, and that's from Jorge Luis Borges. And then it just says live with less noise. Not much as far as an explanation as far as on the bottle, but this is a wine of Spain. It's a red blend, so we're going to get into that tonight. Now, I think we have a comment out there. Hey, hey, hey. Happy Friday. Thank you so much, Burning Sky. Thank you for joining in. I appreciate you. So, yes, like I said, we have author Retta Flagg in tonight, and I'm speaking about the champion. And I wonder if she's going to be able to add some insight on this here. So let me go ahead and read this here for you. This is very interesting. What's going on, Bethany? How are you? We have Cali in the building. We have Alabama in the building. We have Florida in the building. Derek, I see you out there on TikTok. Thank you so much. Please let me know where you're calling from. And of course, please like, comment, share, subscribe, tag your friends. You never know what you're going to get. Champions are not the one who always win races. Champions are the ones who get out there and try harder the next time, and then even harder the next time. Champion is a state of mind. They are devoted. They compete to beat themselves as much, if not more, than they compete to beat others. Champions are not just athletes, and that is from Simon Sinek. And absolutely, champions are not just athletes. And one of the biggest things that I took away from this is they compete to beat themselves as much, if not more, than they compete to beat others. Sometimes we can be our own worst enemies, and the battle is always within first before it shows up out. So it's just so profound that once you say that you want to be a champion, like this says here, champion is a state of mind. It is a state of mind. It has nothing about how many awards or accolades or, I'm the fastest runner or, I got this many followers or I can do this or I can do that. All of that means nothing at the end of the day if the mind is not together. This is the thing that you want to go ahead and try to tackle and try to defeat. And most of the time, that's self. that is getting with self, that is trying to beat self, which I call becoming the master of your own mind. Shout out to the Bronx, New York. Thank you so much to my mentor for bringing me on to that, becoming the master of your own mind. Because you know what they used to say back in the day, a mind is a terrible thing to waste. And a mind is a terrible thing to waste when it is on some negative vibes and you're sitting there thinking negative things all day, reinforcing negative feelings and just overall negativity over your life and your environment. A mind is a terrible thing to waste. But let me tell you, a mind is a beautiful thing once you get into a positive state of being and once you learn how to become the master of your own mind and once you champion your life and your world, can't nobody do anything to you. If your mind is right, trust and believe that you're on point and can't nobody do anything to you. And that's what it's about when it becomes becoming the master of your own mind and championing things and being the ruler over your world. This is my world here. We all have our own world. We write our own stories. We tell our own stories. We follow our own destiny. And see, the problem is, and I just keep speaking about this, most of the time, some folks have issues because we're too busy following behind somebody else. We're too busy living their story. Somebody told us that we weren't going to be anything today or tomorrow, and we sat there and we believed them. An ex said some disrespectful things before they exited out the left door. And now we sitting somewhere months, years, in some cases decades, still believing what somebody else spoke about us. We control this. We control self. Nobody else controls that. So don't let any outside influences try to disrupt and rule your world. So are you going to be the champion over your world today? That's the question I have to ask you. What's the first thing that you're going to do when it comes to becoming a champion? And like I said, there are no days off. So this is not something that you just play with. You got to make the decision. Am I going to do this or not? Am I good and sick and tired of myself living like this day after day after day, year after year after year? You know, in a couple weeks, right? Yeah, it's about a what? How many more days do we have until we'll be ringing in the new year? This is a great opportunity to get with self and say, what are some of the things that happened in 2023 that I'm just not going to take in 24? How do I become the champion of my world going into the new year? Some things to start to think about now. You know, I obviously have been having those conversations with myself as I continue to evolve into the being that I like to become. This is evolution. This is disc three. So I encourage y'all to evolve and elevate to the next level as we go into the new year. All right, now it's time to get into our little wine here that I have before we reach out to Author Retta Flagg, which will be coming in very shortly. OXTE, The Silence. I love this bottle because you know what? It's just peaceful. When you look at the bottle, it's real peaceful. And if this represents peace and silence, I'm down for it. And this is vegan wine, actually. So I'm not quite sure what it takes to make it a vegan wine as far as the processing goes. Because as far as I know, it's just grapes in here. But this is a vegan wine. So I want to pull up some of the notes that we have here. And just so that people know, because I actually learned how to swirl wine properly, you're actually supposed to put your wine down on a table and swirl. It's not really supposed to be up in the air, but for visual purposes, it's going to be up in the air today. But you're supposed to actually just sit it on the table and swirl it and then sniff. Putting it on a table, swirling, and then sniffing brings out more of the flavor. At least so I've been told. So, OXTE the Silence. Taste testers, they say that this is about a 3.5 wine. Out of 5 stars, it's about 3.5. And it does have 4 or 5 different grapes in here. We have Cabernet Sauvignon. We have, and hopefully I'm saying this right, Grenache grapes. Tempranillo. I've never had that type of wine before. Tempranillo grapes. Shiraz and Shirai. Excuse me. Cabernet Sauvignon, Grenache grapes, Tempranillo grapes, Shiraz, and Shiraz. And this is considered a Spanish red wine, almost like spicy. You're going to get some spice out of this. It's going to be more on the bold side and smooth. So bold, smooth, spicy. Scents and notes of plum and blackberry, oak, tobacco, vanilla, cherry, and raspberry. And when you're swirling your wine, if you get the little teardrops that drip down the side of your glass nice and slow, that's how you know you got a good quality wine. If the wine runs down very quick, not saying that that's a bad quality wine, but when you swirl your glass, if you get the little teardrops and your wine sort of like slowly comes back into the glass in the middle, very slowly down the sides, you have a very good high quality wine. And again, at least so I've been told. So this wine pairs very well with beef, pasta, veal, and poultry. And again, nothing against beef, pasta. Why I do eat pasta. Nothing against beef, veal, and poultry. But I am a pescatarian, so I don't partake in that. But I could see if this is a Spanish red wine, how this could possibly go well with pasta. So we're going to go ahead and test this out. It does have a little spice in it. It really does. Hmm, pretty good. It does have a real kick to it towards the end. Like the back half of it, it is kind of spicy. Now, the wine that I sampled on Wednesday night, I prefer to have that over this one. This is pretty good. It is spicy. You do feel it in your chest a little bit after drinking it. Absolutely. I could see why they call this a Spanish spicy red blend. Now, I want to touch base about last night's show before we get Author Retta Flagg in. So, I had J.R. Sparrow on from West Virginia, Uncommon. Make sure I got it right. That's a tongue twister of a name. J.R. Sparrow from West Virginia, Uncommon Place podcast. And great conversation. We spoke about podcasting. We spoke about, he gave me some knowledge as far as West Virginia, as far as some of the myths and the name that West Virginia gets, I guess the reputation. So we spoke about that. And we had a deep conversation when it comes to music. And my cousin was actually out there listening, and we were speaking about comparing old music to today's traditional music. And Jennifer Hudson came up, Diana Ross came up, Beyonce came up, Aretha Franklin came up, Mary J. Blige came up. And I kind of felt a certain way when I left. I just got to be honest, because I'm a huge Mary J. Blige fan. And I was speaking about who is the modern day Aretha Franklin. And I truly believe that Mary J. Blige is the modern day Aretha Franklin. And I know some people might say I'm just saying that because, I am who I am when it comes to Mary J. Blige. But what makes Mary J. Blige the Aretha Franklin of this generation, my generation, I'm a millennial, is the catalog of music. Now, I'm not saying that Mary J. Blige is the best singer. In my world, she is, but in yours, it is what it is. Um, the catalog of music and different artists that she's worked with and the different genres of music that she's able to bounce in and out of. Yes, Jennifer Hudson has a great voice, beautiful singer, amazing singer. I love her music. But when you look at her catalog attached to Mary J. Blige's catalog, Jennifer Hudson still has some time to grow. Can she become the modern day Aretha Franklin of whatever generation? Absolutely. But is she that today? In my book, I say absolutely not. Mary J. Blige has been in the game since 1991 and hasn't stopped yet. And again, her catalog, if you compare against Aretha Franklin's millions of CDs that she has and hits and singing for presidents and all of that great stuff and balls, and Mary J. Blige is right there. So that's what I just have to say. So it is what it is. And I do think that Beyonce is the modern day Diana Ross. Not too many people can mess with Diana Ross back then. She was very untouchable, including today. She's still untouchable. You don't see where she's not visible to the general public, and she's sort of like hiding away, and her legacy just continues, and she's done what she's done. So Beyonce does the same thing. She puts out a CD and then she can just hide and go away, and she's still very relevant, and she's going to be relevant from years and decades afterwards. So it is what it is. That's just my thought. But again, what do I know? We have our own opinion, and that's just it. But check out that podcast from last night, the replay with J.R. Sparrow from West Virginia, the Uncommon Place podcast. Now, the main event of tonight. So amazing. Author Retta Flagg. I want to go ahead and read you this here. For 25 years, Retta Flagg has traveled the world with her spiritual teacher to sacred places upon the planet, participating in high-frequency energy work to prepare our world and humanity for a shift into the next dimension. For 10 years, she led a pagan group as a high priestess, doing full moon, new moon, and earth holidays. That mystical experience permeates throughout her writings. Retta has 30 years of bodywork experience, 25 years of teaching workshops on massage techniques, forgiveness techniques, working on the inner child, and meditation. Retta has worked extensively in the wellness community for over 10 years. One of her primary reasons for writing Seven and Eighth, and that was the book that one she spoke about last year when she was on a podcast, I sort of just was like, did you just say what I was thinking? Was this topic in this book about the same thing that I have been studying for about a week? It was just insane. One of her primary reasons for writing Seventh and Eighth was to reach those people who are having deep mystical and spiritual experiences with with little or no validation of their experience. And these are some special words from Miss Retta Flagg. You came into this world not quite ready for who you are, and I know that your heart has been broken time and time again. You are not alone. My advice is for you to remain consistent as it is throughout this book and to choose love. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further hesitation, I'm going to go ahead and bring up Miss Author Retta Flagg. Now, if there's anything that you like from tonight's podcast, please go ahead and text me at 609-730-611. And of course, you most certainly can light up the comments. Thank you so much to Facebook. Thank you so much to Lavella. I saw you out there last night. I appreciate you. Thank you to Instagram. What's going on, young Amari? How are you? I appreciate everybody out there who joined in. And let's go ahead and get Miss Retta Flagg on here.
Hello, this is Retta.
Hello, hello, hello. How are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Welcome back into Reading Between the Wines. It's been a long time, about a year now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So,
well, I've had a year of physical challenges, medical challenges, and a year of miracles. So we sort of both went hand in hand. But
well, I'm glad
I'm
that
not hearing you.
you said you can't hear me.
Yeah.
I can hear you.
Let me try this.
Yeah,
now I got you. Okay.
Okay, because I was gonna say I could hear you great. Well,
Okay.
I hope that everything is well now. Are you all 100% now?
Yeah. I was diagnosed with breast cancer last February.
Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that.
Anytime that you have a cancer word, it's daunting in the medical journey. But it really worked out for the best, I have to say.
That's good.
And I wound up getting the double mastectomy, but I didn't have to have radiation or chemo.
That's good.
So, yeah. And the miracle of it for me was right from the very start, I knew that I was taken care of. And I just had that attitude through the whole thing. It's going to work out. I'm going to be okay. I'll be taken care of. And I had things like money show up out of the blue, which is always helpful when you can't work. Mm-hmm. And support from where I work, support from my friends, and it was just an amazing journey. So I think the whole healing process, that's bad. You learn so much. But I've really been taken care of. And that just affirms that to me, how much we are taken care of.
Yes, and the mindset is very powerful. So you spoke about how you just basically had that attitude of knowing and actually having that belief of knowing that everything is 100% and I'm taken care of already. And I think that that's, and I'm not going to say half, I'm going to say that that's more than half of the battle, that once you can start thinking positive, so many great things come.
True. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I tell myself that I believe that something amazing is going to happen to me today, before it even starts. Before my day even starts, before I even get out of bed, I believe that something amazing is going to happen to me today. And it's amazing once you start to shift that mindset, instead of waking up in the morning being like, ugh, I got to get up and go to work, or ugh, I got to get up and do this. Even though sometimes we might feel that way, but what you speak out of your mouth helps train your brain to get on a different path.
Yeah. Well, my teacher had us waking up and thinking of 3 to 5 things we're grateful for. Mm-hmm. And that's a great way to start the morning as well.
3 to 5 things that you're grateful for. Okay, that's definitely something that I will take back. Now, every great person that we see here on this planet, on this wonderful planet, they've been mentored by somebody. So you do great work, and you speak a lot about your teacher, your mentor. So can you tell us a little bit about that process? How did that come about? I've seen you've done some traveling. You've been to places like Egypt, which I think is amazing. Healing people, learning. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah. Well, I started out as a goddess worshiper, and then sort of got into pagan practices and things like that, but I was a solitary. I wasn't involved in part of the group. And one of the things that I was attracted to was a book channeled by Jane Roberts called Death Speaks. And it's the first time I read something about how the universe works that made sense to me. And so I read all of her books. And then there was some friends of mine said a trance channeler was coming to Pittsburgh. And I was like, I have to go see this, because Jane Roberts had actually died by that time. I never got a chance to see what it was like when somebody was channeling. Mm. And the person's name was Lee Schultz. She was from Kentucky, and she channeled an entity named Samuel, who at the time had a very thick Scottish accent. His last life was on the Isle of Arran in Scotland, and so he sort of after that for his English. And so we go to this, it was like in a university, in one of their rooms, there was 75 to 100 people there. And she talks about her story, and the channel, she sort of sits there and she sort of falls asleep. And then you can feel his energy coming into the room. Mm. And I started crying. It was like I was meeting a long lost friend. and I've been with the group ever since. So since then, we built up a group in Pittsburgh, in Atlanta, and the hometown is in Lexington.
Okay.
And we've traveled all over the world doing high energy rituals to release the ancient knowings that lead people to their spiritual path. I would guess I'd put it that way. So, and at the same time, like your journey of learning how to let go of ego and recognize the parts of you that aren't needed anymore and don't serve you. And to get down to that part of you that is love.
I don't know how this happened to me. Because I was very so much the opposite. Everyone who sees me now, you see a calm, nice person. I'm not going to sit here and say that I was always that person. I was very always up. I used to frown a lot. I used to go from, I have a very like monotone, mild voice, which I'm so thankful I still have this because I will go from this to 100, like screaming, raging, running around like a lunatic, which I describe as a Tasmanian devil. So it's just amazing how I went from that to this. And I kind of always knew that I was a little different than everybody else. And I knew that I was going to do something. I just didn't know what it was. And it's just interesting how once you go against the grain so much and you think that you know what's happening, the universe, God, shifts you in a different direction, and it can happen just like that.
Huh?
Did you know
Well,
that you would be the light worker that you are, or did it sort of just happen like a shift like that out of nowhere?
well, when I became a goddess worshiper, it was like a shift like that out of nowhere, and I would like experience her voice in the world around us, and it was a big change.
So was it unexpected? Were you going through a traumatic or dramatic experience at the time when you like crashed and burned and
I
shifted?
was going through a very dramatic experience. Both of my parents died within 6 months of each other, and we had a couple other deaths in the family. I was working full time, going to school full time, keeping my family together at that age. So it was a very, very stressful time, and I came out of it knowing that I wanted to be healthy. That was what I came out of it with.
Okay. Wow. Again, ladies and gentlemen, we have author Retta Flagg in Reading Between the Wines tonight. So, what area are you from, by the way? I usually always ask that question.
What area?
Yes, what part of the country are you in?
Okay. Well, right now I'm living in Cincinnati. I've been living in Virginia Beach, but some relatives needed someone to house sit for them for several months. And we moved to Cincinnati and we're house sitting. So we're enjoying it here in Cincinnati.
Awesome. That's awesome. It's cold up there.
It is.
I don't like that.
It's much colder than Virginia Beach. Oh my, I know.
I most certainly do not like the cold at all. Okay, so what new books have you been up to lately? You have anything new for us?
Not writing, no.
Okay.
I've been focusing more. We do a daily meditation at noon that focuses on sending energy to places that need healing wholeness. And that's where most of my spiritual work has been right lately with that.
Okay.
Coming December 21st, we're going to do a high ritual on the solstice.
Okay.
On Zoom. We learned how to do spiritual work on Zoom calls. It's great. You know, that you can actually connect with the energy of the Zoom. And again, shedding more things that I no longer need. That looking at the parts of myself that the remnants
Absolutely.
of ego that need to be shed. Yeah.
This year for me, I shed so much. I focus on defeating ego because that's very important. And it's very hard because, like I said, I was the type of person who, if you said something to me, I took it personal. Like, you did what? You said what to me? So I had to literally watch people disrespect me. And I know that that sounds strange, right? Especially for people who know me. I had to literally watch people disrespect me and say some, not necessarily say, but just act in a very disrespectful manner in front of other people, which could be known as being very embarrassing. And unfortunately, it was in a workplace. But when you learn how to defeat ego and when you learn how to sit back and, like I talked about this bottle of wine, when you know how to get in silence and not say everything, after a while it shifted. And these same people who treated me a certain way now all of a sudden treat me so much different and so much better. And I sit back and I'm very thankful that I learned how to get my ego in check, because had I went back and forth with those people and went round and round, it would have been completely different. And a lot of times I have to go ahead.
But when you can detach from the emotion of something and observe it, then you have the power to create change.
Now that was a great. Can you please say that again? Because I need to listen to this again.
When you can detach from the emotion of an experience, then you have the power to observe it, and from there you can create change.
Wow. I had to do that when it comes to past relationships that I was still hanging on to. I had to take, it was like Christmas in July here. I got rid of all of the things that people gave me as gifts that I no longer wanted to carry that energy. I was giving away jewelry. I was giving away a whole bunch of stuff. So I had to release and declutter a lot of different things. And a lot of it was mentally too, but then in the material aspect and the physical aspect of it too, I had to clean up my environment too.
Yeah. When I was 40, I went to a therapist. I had a lot of stuff going on, so I went to see a therapist. And one of the things that she taught me was the fussy, grouchy person I had developed was there to protect me. And it was protecting that soft, gooey inside state of love. That, well, I was thinking all of this is me and I have to hold on to it. It really was a shell that was there to protect that part of me that was sensitive and loving and compassionate, because it never felt safe in the world. And that was a huge insight for me, is that I wasn't the Retta I thought I was.
I can understand that. I feel like I feel like now 2023 is the most that I have been alive, the most that I actually feel comfortable with me. And I feel that as time continues to flow on, that it's just going to get better and better and better and better, because I have learned so much about, all of the things we've been speaking about tonight here. Ego, you know, learning who you are, know thyself. Um, all of these things have just given me a whole new outlook on life.
Good for you. I'm proud of you. You've done a lot of work. That's not easy.
And it's been like in a very short time, so I'm very thankful for all of this. But it was all part of the plan, and that's one of the biggest things that I've realized, that it was part of the plan. Because I look at how I used to live, and there's no way that I can would have been able to continue to live that way and still be here today. There's absolutely no way. So
Yeah.
And like I said, when you came on here, I knew that this was going to be a powerful show, an amazing show. Breakthroughs are going to come through here tonight. Somebody's going to listen to this on a replay one day, and they're going to, you know, have that connection. Um, so thank you so much for everything that you do, and thank you so much for sharing your stories because, you know, you are an example right there as far as what it's about as far as getting it together and being a champion and continuously going and not letting anything hold you down, especially sharing your story of being the champion over your life when it comes to health. It's amazing.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you a story. When I first knew that the work we were doing with Samuel was really something real. So we were in Egypt, and everyone talks about the pyramids in Egypt, but it's the temples where the spiritual energy was centered in Egypt. And they have the outer temple, and then the inner temple is where the embodiment of their gods was stored. And only the pharaoh and the high priest and maybe a few people who took food in and out were allowed in this space. But and I believe that something real was there as a spiritual being that they worshipped. But it's very considered very sacred. So when you go to the temples, they'll lead you around in a tour through this part, and you get to look at the hieroglyphics, and you can go to the next inner part and the next inner part. But you mostly just stand at the door and look into the inner temple where the god was stored, right? So at this one temple, and we were doing a chanting meditation to release energy that would open a heart portal for the earth at the time. So we got the opportunity to take the whole group into the inner temple, and we're doing this chant. It was like 3 different notes that we held together with the intent to release energy. And as we're doing that chant, it's like the rocks of the temple started singing with us. And then way above that was like the angels were singing with us until you could hear their voices joined in with ours. And even now, I get that, oh my goodness, feeling,
Right.
It really connected me into that we were doing something big. It wasn't just, well, let's dabble in this little stuff and see what happens. So I after that trip, I became dedicated to doing that work, and it's been life-changing. On so many different levels.
I can imagine that sounds amazing. First of all, just getting to Egypt for me would just be enough. But second, getting to see the pyramids, that would be enough. But then to be able to look in a temple, go in a temple, it's just amazing. Someone told me that I was going to go to Egypt, and I didn't believe it at the time. I really wasn't feeling Egypt at that moment, I guess because I just didn't do enough research and study it. Since then, I have really been doing my research and studying and looking it up. And the more and more and more that I do it, I really want to go to Egypt. And I kind of like, okay, somebody did speak something over my life, but I really do want to go to Egypt.
Yeah. The river tours are a good way to go.
Oh yeah, I went.
You stay on the boat and then get out of the temple and do the tour. Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, when I travel out of the country, especially when I don't speak the language and I don't know anything about the culture, guided tours are the way that I'm going. I learned my lesson by going to a country and just put it that way. I learned my lesson about going to places and not. Yeah. No, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, one of the things I'd like to talk about tonight is with all this chaos that's going on in the world, and frankly, how scary everything looks because you don't know what's going to blow up. I mean, things are happening now that I never thought I could even conceive of happening in my lifetime with so much division and corruption and conflicting viewpoints and it's downright rudeness. But what's going on underneath that is that humanity and the planet are evolving into the next level of high vibrational energy.
Mm-hmm.
And part of the reason that we're seeing so much disruption right now is all of the ones who profited from the lower frequencies don't want to let go.
Mm.
They want to keep making their money. And I mean, the amount of greed in this world is just astonishing. But so what they do is they generate an atmosphere of fear.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Because that keeps people off their game.
Yep.
And it stops you from being connected into your higher spiritual self. But it's an impediment. I mean, you can still do it through fear, but it just makes it harder. So I want people who hear this to know that there are beings here who are working on creating a higher energy and a whole new humanity based upon love and compassion and empathy. And that there are forces, universal forces, that are sending energy right now to us to make this happen. That there are waves of energy hitting the planet that raise up the vibrational energy of the whole planet and people. And once you connect into these energies, it gives you another whole level of connection to your own inner spiritual knowing. And for all that everybody says, well, what can I do? I'm only one person to make change in the world. This is where you have the most power. When you can look at yourself and look at your world and choose a loving act rather than one that's based on fear, you're changing the world. Because it's done one by one by one. And having a community of like-minded people who are having that same connection amps that up, gives you that support that you need to hold yourself up. So find a spiritual community that feeds you and doesn't make you less than you are, and look for those places and things, events, books, whatever, movies that will touch you in those places that need to grow. Just put it out there that you're open to it, and it will come to you. But I know that not going into fear is difficult because this is so much being broadcast right now to make people afraid. And I know it's not an easy thing to do, but it's when you practice it and work at it and become aware of those places within you, what they touch on, those places that trigger us from life experiences that a lot of times are things we should be afraid of. You grow into something that's beyond words and knowing. And you grow into that connection with energies that are just light. We're all light and we're all one. And that's
absolutely.
It's one of those concepts that you hear it and oh yeah, we're all one, right. And then, but I am me, and there's this line here, but as you let go of things, you merge into that greater energy that is the creation force for our planet and the universe.
Absolutely. Wow. That was amazing. Thank you so much for that. This is a time of the shift. So there's a lot of talk about the fifth dimension. So there's a lot of talk about the shift and people being left behind. So your conversation definitely flows into that. So it definitely does make sense. And when they say that, going into a new dimension, I spoke about it earlier today when it comes to being a champion, when it comes to being a ruler over your world. It starts in the mind. So it's not like people are literally going to be left behind. They have movies and stuff where people are left behind, literally left behind. But it's a shift in the mindset as far as how as you think. Whatever you think, that's exactly what your world becomes. So if you think negative, you think, lower vibrational. If you think lower vibrationally, then those are the things that are going to produce and show up in your world. If you think, higher, a level, higher frequencies, higher vibrational levels, those things are going to show up into your world. So if you have people who you left behind, all you have to do is think differently. There's times where I thought myself out of a situation, and there wasn't even a question of am I going to see them again. I was in the same town, same area, but because we were on different frequencies, we were bypassing each other, and I never had to ever experience seeing these people again. And I probably will never see these people again because I'm no longer going to go back to that lower world. I'm no longer going to go back to those lower frequencies. So it's all on a mind shift. Still here on Earth, right? But the fact that I'm on a higher vibrational level, we're bypassing each other. We're not even in the same. In essence, we're not even in the same world. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
So I'm so thankful that I have gained the knowledge that I've gained to know all of these things here today. And this is so interesting. So my birthday was Monday, and I love sushi. So I had some sushi on Monday, and this was in my fortune, and I saved it here because this comes into a line of all of the things that I've been speaking about. All that we are arises from our thoughts. Just very simple. All that we are arises with our thoughts.
That's pretty profound to get on your birthday.
I didn't even know what to say. I'm just like, wow. And I constantly keep reiterating to myself, reiterating to my generation, as a man thinketh, so is he. Because I used to think so negative. I used to think so disrespectful. I used to think so bad. And that is exactly what my world was. It was like hell on earth. And then all of a sudden, I, just like that bottle of wine, I got into some silence. I got with self. And then I realized that I'm better than this. I'm going to start thinking differently. So I started to think on a different level. And here you go. My life just shifted in another direction. So everything that you speak about today, I'm on board 100%. And for those of you out there listening, I strongly urge you to follow Miss Retta Flagg. Check out her meditations that she has. Check out her book. What's the name of the book again?
7 and an 8.
Seventh and an Eighth. And that was about the Pleiades sisters, right?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's actually a fun story on mythology as well. I've been awarded prizes for the mythology portion of the story. So I was very proud of that it was considered worthy to be that.
And I just want to say, let this podcast, let these conversations be a remembrance to get into silence, get with self, know thyself.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you know who you are, then everybody else will know who you are, and we can stop all of the back and forth. The problem is that there's a lot of back and forth because if we don't know who we are, people don't know who we are either. And they can sense it a mile away. And that's where some of the disruption and the issues come because you don't know who you are and you're just all over the place.
Well, do we have time for me to read a passage from my book?
Oh, absolutely. I'm waiting.
Okay. Okay, this is from page 68 of 7 and 8.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
When you choose love, No one has power over you. When you choose balance and compassion, you change the world. When you are living as spirit in form, possessions do not possess you. When you are standing in wholeness, the illusion of fear and lack does not rule you. This is the change already happening in the world around you. The ones in power, who rule with dark hearts, know that change is coming, and they cling to the old patterns. Manipulation through fear is their greatest weapon, not the bombs or their control of the financial market. Fear rules them, but love awakes. And now is the time for humanity to recognize their true nature as spiritual beings. It is a revolution that is happening, and it is only a choice away for each and every one of you.
Wow. True words. Amazing. When did you write that book? What year?
I published it in 2018.
2018.
And it took me 25 years to write it.
Okay, so there you go. Took you 25 years to write it. You published it in 2018, and here it is, 2023, almost 2024, and that same information is relevant today and continue and will continue to be for years on, and has always been. It's the same theme, it's the same story that history continues to repeat itself. And as you go back into history, as we go back and we do our research and we go back and we study, to me, it's just, I can't even think of the word. It's just astonishing that people don't understand that history repeats itself. And that's why we study ancient cultures. And that's why we go back and study ancient scriptures. And I don't get it. I just don't get it that we just have not evolved differently when we clearly know that history continues to repeat itself and the same cycles continue to keep shifting over decade after decade after decade, and it seems like it's almost every 10 years that there's a shift. Every 10 years there's another shift. Every 10 years there's another shift. It's just amazing to me.
Well, and part of that pattern, though, is to peel off the layers so that you can get to the heart of the matter. It's often compared to peeling the layers off an onion, that just when you think you've got an issue solved, it will pop up in another way, and you need to look at it with a different focus and see it in a new light and let go of another layer of connection or attachment that you don't need to have.
Right.
So I think as mass consciousness evolves, we go through that same kind of process where we get to see, here's all the issues, here's where you get to make a choice. And most people don't even think they have a choice. But when you reach that point where you say, I have a choice about how I'm going to react. Now, I don't have any control over all the wars. I don't have any control over the corporations being so greedy. But what I do have is control over my reaction in this moment
what?
of what that means to me and how I'm going to live in the world. And that's where the power is, in that moment.
Yes, absolutely. Wow. And that's it. Your reaction to things. Your reaction to things can control and change and shift a whole bunch of different things. And I have something written too, which I have to remind myself. Swift to hear. I spoke about we have 2 ears. So swift to hear, slow to speak, and slow to wrath. How your reaction when something pops up that you may not like. We need to be slow to speak. We don't always have to have the last word. We don't always have to say anything. And then the most thing that is important is slow to wrath. Like, We don't need to have an attitude. We don't have to go off and get angry about it. We don't have to let things from outside of us disrupt who we are and turn us into, like I used to say, the Tasmanian devil. All of that is poisoning your system and pushing you down to a lower vibrational level. We want to stay up here. We want to stay high. So in order to stay up there, we have to practice those things and make sure that forces from the outside, they can't come in and destroy us and take us to a different level. Don't lose your power is what I have to tell myself. Don't give up your power.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, we have author Retta Flagg here tonight giving us some profound information, profound wisdom. Thank you so much for coming through. Please let everyone know yes, please let everyone know where they can purchase your book and follow you and check out your meditation sessions that you have.
Well, there's rettaflagg.com. And of course, 7 and 8 is on Amazon and Barnes and Noble and Google, all the places that you find to buy books. I would invite you that if you want to experience the energy of high ritual, that you join us for our Festival of Light celebration and ritual on December 21st. And it's a Zoom call, so you can do it in the privacy of your own home. If you go to discoversamuel.com, which is the homepage for the group that I work with, and there'll be a Festival of Light button on there that you can look at and sign up for the Zoom call and join the group. So it's a wonderful way to experience working in oneness and wholeness for the planet and for yourself. And I believe the focus of the work will be to recognize and live in the world who we truly are as spiritual beings.
Well, that sounds amazing. Send me the information if you can. I'm not sure what day it falls on or the time, but that will probably be a determining factor, depending on the time and the day.
Yeah, it's 7 p.m. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll probably be getting ready for the podcast.
Yeah, so. Unfortunately.
Yeah. Well,
I'll send you information about our daily meditation too. So
absolutely.
That's a good place to start. All right.
Well, I can't let you leave without giving you a burning question. So, ladies and gentlemen, now's the time for burning questions. If you want to respond, if you have any insights, if you want to give me another burning question that you'd like me to bring up on future podcasts, you can text me at 609-738-0611. That is the official 411 hotline. So the burning question that I have for tonight is, how would you feel about special X-ray vision glasses hitting the market for the elite, rich, and famous? Would you look at the celebrities and shades a little differently? I'm going to go ahead and read that again. How would you feel about special X-ray vision glasses hitting the market for the elite, rich, and famous? If that happened, would you look at celebrities and shades a little differently?
I look at that and it's like, it's sort of symbolic of them having privileges that they think they deserve and people who aren't famous and wealthy don't have. I would hope that if they have that viewpoint, that they look at each other and recognize that when you talk about skeletons, there's no color on skeletons. It's all the same.
Wow.
There's no privilege with skeletons. It's all the same. So that's what I would hope that they see if they wear X-ray glasses.
Wow. I've heard a lot of times that being a celebrity is not what it's all cracked up to be. That usually a lot of them regret it. A lot of them are secretly miserable. So it's funny that you say that. I think if they had the ability to have special X-ray vision glasses and they were able to see things, a lot of them can see things now that they probably didn't wish that they couldn't see. I think that that would just push it to another level. And would I look at them differently? Probably not, because I know, like I said, I know that some of them, not all of them, depending on the line of work that they do, depending on how successful and how famous they are, some of them are not really happy. And as you see,
Yeah.
some of them take their own lives and they end up being strung out on drugs or, all types of issues. So, yeah, I don't know if I would want to see all of that. So, um, I wouldn't want to take any part of that. That's just
Yeah.
too much responsibility and too much to be able to see all at once. So,
I
well,
think Google actually did classes like that, and it didn't sell well. It was a novelty for a little bit, but
mm,
they stopped producing.
that's craziness. Any last final words you'd like to go ahead and leave with us as we wind down here for the rest of the night?
I love you.
I
I
love
hold
you
you
too.
in my heart.
Go ahead. You're talking to everybody. I'm sitting here thinking you're talking to me like, oh. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Uh,
Go ahead.
there are people, when you learn more about love, it's something that is so beyond what we've been taught it is. And I extend that unconditional love to you all. And I'm so thankful, Lauren, that you give me this opportunity to talk with you and share your journey. Thank you. I'm honored.
Thank you so much. It's definitely been a blessing, and I'm honored as well to have you come on. And I can't wait to continue this conversation, and I'd love to see you in the future.
Great.
Okay,
I look forward to it.
very good. Thank you so much. You have a wonderful evening. Happy holidays to you. Stay safe, stay warm, especially in you said Ohio. Yeah.
Ohio, Cincinnati, yes. Cold.
Stay safe. You're over there. You're over there by those lakes, right? Yeah. Stay very,
Yeah.
stay very warm. All
Yes,
right.
I will.
Take care. Thank you.
Take care.
All
Bye-bye.
right. Bye. Well, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Like I said in the beginning of the show, I knew that the show would be amazing, and it most certainly was. And please like, please comment, please share. Just like this bottle of wine here that I spoke about. I was calling it a book. Because you know what? Maybe it is a book because it tells a story. But OXTE, the silence. If you cannot improve the silence, live with less noise. And I truly believe that. Live with less noise in your life. When you live with less noise, you're able to get some clarity in your mind and make some better decisions about your life. Determine whether you are going to be the champion or not. Because if you ain't going to be the champion of your life, somebody else is going to champion over top of you and take over your world. So, very special thank you to author Retta Flagg for coming in and giving her wisdom. Thank you so much to everybody out there who joined. I've seen a bunch of different people popping in and out, some new faces, some new names of people who I've never seen before. Now, if you like the conversation that I had tonight with Retta Flagg, you and I can go back and forth and we can have our own personal private one-on-one conversation. Head on over to LarenGaines.com and sign up for the coaching sessions, and you and I can have one-on-one private conversations offline, headed into whatever direction that you'd like to go in. So LarenGaines.com, sign up for the coaching sessions. Also, if you like travel, if you like adventure, and you want to travel to exotic places, you want to travel to close places, you want to get a weekend getaway, you want to go to the city, you want to go to the country, you like amusement parks, whatever works for you, you can vacation with me. Text me at 609-730-611. I can help build your personalized vacation for you. I can set up itineraries, help book, and help you save money on different places that you like to stay at or places you like to go on vacation. For me personally, I like the home away from home feel. So I have condominium lifestyle living. It'll be a home away from home. If that's the type of lifestyle you like, you want your full kitchen, you want a washer and dryer, you want a living room, you want a dining room, all the amenities that you have at home, you can have the same thing while you're on vacation. You can go ahead and text me or DM me. And the phone number is 609-730-611. And all you have to do is basically let me know where you like to vacation, what places that you like to see and where you like to travel, and then we'll take it from there. What's going on? How you doing out there? Also, now I know I have a lot going on. I spoke to you about the 4-in-1 podcast, reading between the wines. We just talked about vacationing with me. We talked about the coaching sessions. I'm sitting here sampling this wonderful wine. I'm traveling. I got a lot of different things going on. So if you like to stay up to date with all of the things Laren Gaines, head on over to LarenGaines.com and you can sign up for my new newsletter that's coming out next month, which is called Whispers of Wisdom. And I'm going to give you small little bits and pieces of everything that I just discussed, plus a little more. Again, head on over to LarenGaines.com and sign up for Whispers of Wisdom. And you'll get all of those little things that I spoke about, small little clips, snippets, delivered to your inbox once a month. One single email delivered to your inbox once a month with insights on 411, reading between the wines, vacation, wine in general, travel in general, inspirational quotes, and small little gems, everything. Whispers of Wisdom. Head on over to LarenGaines.com. And on that note, I want to say thank you so much for joining in. This was a great show. Thank you so much to Author Retta Flagg. If you can please support us, but please liking, commenting, and sharing. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Anything that you need to do to help support us, that would be greatly appreciated. Thank you all so much. And on that note, I will see you when I see you. Mr. Vips, what's going on? Let me know where you are calling from. I know it's probably